Welcome to another issue of Dr. James Beckett Sports Card Insights. As you can see from the title, this will be a little bit different topic. It does impact, or you might think of some of our sponsors when you think about nepotism, but I'm going to talk about it in a nuanced way and try to explain some of my theories on that, as well as how it affected our company, our industry, and the sports world in general. So listen closely. You might learn a few new words, but you'll also perhaps gain some insight about business and this hobby, this industry. First, to thank those sponsors. We've got great sponsors: Beckett Media, Beckett BGS and BAS for grading and authentication. Burbank Sports Cards, a great card shop out in Burbank, California. ComC out in Seattle area with ComC.com. Heritage Auctions, which is here in Dallas. Very proud of that. Huggins & Scott from Maryland, a great auction company that does things in a very interesting way. Mike's Stadium Sports Cards, a great card shop up in Aurora, Colorado, outside of Denver. Panini, which also is around here in the Metroplex. Topps up in New York, and Upper Deck in Southern California. Thank you to our sponsors. As I mentioned, today's issue is nuanced nepotism. Nepotism is defined, it's actually usually thought to be somewhat negative. I think there are aspects of nepotism that are negative. Some of the definitions that I've read, it's a practice of those with power or influence favoring relatives, especially by giving them jobs. I think when I didn't give somebody a job, I gave them a chance. The ironic thing about this episode is one of my absolute star employees, the first full-time employee I hired, happened to be my little sister Claire, who just did a terrific job. And was that nepotism? I needed somebody fast. I needed somebody good. We already had a high level of trust, and she just did a terrific job. So I didn't give her a job. I gave her a chance, and she certainly, those of you who worked with her know that she made the most of it. So any kind of nepotism that's unfair or a favoritism where you're going way out of your way just to pick a family member, I think of in our company, we did hire people that were related, but it wasn't that person hiring their sister or brother. It was me, based on looking at candidates that we had and knowing that there's a nature and nurture of when two people are related. We generally had excellent success with hiring people who came in, again, at my decision. So there was nothing unfair about it, but they were on the radar. One of the definitions of nepotism talks about how you pick somebody just because they're in your family or they're related. We had mother, son, we had sister, we had brother, we had nephew, uncle, we had husband, wife, we had more than several of those. But it always talks about there might be somebody outside that might be better qualified. Well, in fact, that is possible that there would be somebody out there, but I can think of at least one search that we did. We looked all over the country for a hockey analyst, and the best person we found was not in this country. He was actually in Canada. It was Al Muir. And I can't tell you the trouble we had in hiring that, what we perceived, again, not related to any family member, but an outstanding hockey writer and analyst that worked for us for a long time. It took a long time to just get approval because he was not a citizen at that point. And he went on to a long and distinguished career, and that was good. So again, not nepotism, but when you really look to find the best candidate and you do a big search, it takes a lot of time. And my sister was a bird in the hand that literally was just a terrific choice. Nuance is another word that's a subtlety of it. The definition is like a quality of something that's not easy to notice, but may be important, or it's a slight difference in meaning. So I don't mean the negative side of nepotism. I mean the positive side of trust that's built up within. We basically had a family kind of a company anyway, especially when we were Pepper Hastings, one of our key employees that I saw a few weeks ago. He kept track. We had almost 1,000 employees during my regime of 20-something years. Never had more than 200. We got in the 180s, I think, was the highest number we had at any one time. But we had people that were former employees. We actually had people that worked for us, left, and then came back. But we had almost 1,000. So out of that, there were, I don't say countless numbers of family relationships, but a lot, a very high percentage. And in most of the time, it worked for us. It's working for Burbank Sports Cards. I've met Stephen Veras, the dad. Rob was the main man, and he's handing off in some respects to his son Ryan, who's come of age and blossoming, and that's great to see. Well, did Ryan get the job just because he was the son of and grandson of the founders? Well, he got a chance, and he seems to be making the most of the chance. Now, if he messes up, he messes up, and that has to be dealt with. When the nepotism aspect of getting a chance, you've still got to produce. That's why nepotism in professional sports is not really a big problem. In baseball, you had Ray Boone and Bob Boone and Brett and Aaron Boone. Well, there's something called a batting average in baseball. And if Barry Bonds is the son of Bobby Bonds, but Barry Bonds Jr. was the other son, was the brother, and even though he was the namesake, he didn't make it, because in professional sports, generally, there are statistics. And even football, when you've got Clay Matthews, senior, junior, several Clay Matthews, all have been linebackers with distinction, they still have to produce on the field. So nepotism is not really a big issue. Now, you say, well, what about Bronny, LeBron James' son, being on Sports Center? Well, he's got visibility because of a famous dad, and he'll get a chance because of that. And again, I have no problem with people getting a chance, but he's going to have to make the most of his chance. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., did he get in the home run derby because he had a famous father? Well, he's looking like he could be a star in his own right. But again, he has to produce. Did he get the chance just because? I think there's been a buzz about him just because as he was emerging. But again, he has to produce. So the nepotism, to me, the positive aspect is you have greater visibility and you get a chance. Ironically, in my second career, my first career was being a professor. I taught statistics at Bowling Green State University. I left that after I had tenure because I enjoyed the challenge of business and consulting, and I wound up doing about 6 years of full-time expert witnessing in class action employment discrimination, federal lawsuits. And most of that was age or sex or race discrimination, where there was a perception that people were hired or fired or promoted or not promoted or paid differently according to their age or sex or race or ethnicity. Well, friends, that's not legal. It's not good. And I don't espouse that at all. But in the recruiting aspect of again, what we're talking about nepotism, there are, you're looking at the pool of applicants. When I was trying to find people to help me do the price guide stuff, you're looking for people that have done that, and they're not going to be as diverse. Well, as diverse as they can be. We had a relatively diverse workforce. We probably had half men, half women, but every job wasn't half men and half women. Age, we had some older employees, we had some younger employees, but some of the heavy travel jobs, we didn't find older people that would be interested in that. And as far as race, we probably are more ethnically diverse than racially diverse, but we had a nice group. But again, when you have a smaller company, you're not subject to some of the scrutiny that the very large companies that I used to be involved with in some of these lawsuits, which were tragic. Were tragic, because there were instances where groups of people were treated poorly just based on their age or sex or race. What happened in our company when we had these pairs of employees? again, the person got the chance to be in the game, and then they had to produce. And so if it was a husband-wife, the husband wasn't going to be the one that hired the wife. I would be the one. And I would say, look, if we're bringing this person on who happens to be your wife, she's not going to be reporting to you. You're not going to be able to, you can try to assist her in showing her the ropes, or if it's your brother or sister or son or daughter, but they have to produce. And it's not that I could hold the first employee accountable for their second, but there was some sense of responsibility that the original employee thought that, I don't want my wife or sister or whoever it was to mess things up or to make both of us look bad. So we had a certain work ethic that was strongly encouraged. We had a real team aspect, and we tried to put people in situations where they were set up to succeed, not set up to fail. And again, the family aspect, especially when we were smaller, really promoted that. When the other aspects of nepotism that are upsetting, if you're thinking about it, because I've had this with my nephews and my kids, my stepkids. You've all seen the Little League coach that got into coaching so he could coach his own son or daughter, and then favors the son or daughter. Well, in baseball, it's again, you got a batting average and you only get to bat one out of every 9 times. In basketball, though, you can, try to get your child the ball if you're the nepotistic coach. When Michael, my stepson, was playing football, he was a great high school, all district running back, and the team came in second in state and just had a great run, great career. But I know his coach. I never put pressure on his coach or anything, but I'd known the coach for a while, and he did get pressure from other parents. Hey, play my kid. Again, that pressure, that undue pressure, is the bad side of nepotism. And he stood up to that pressure, and that's why he's kind of a Hall of Fame coach. If you're Archie Manning, what do? Do you say, hey, I'm not going to be nepotistic. I'm going to pick the best person available. Oh, yeah, Dad, what about me, Peyton Manning? Yeah, what about me, Eli Manning? So those Mannings produced on the field, and the fact that the father had been a good quarterback in the NFL, did it help? I'm sure it did help. I've been batting around this idea of nepotism and thinking about how it is a topic that has to be nuanced, because if you're just hiring your friends and a good old boy network, ultimately that will not be successful for you, in my mind, in the long run. But hiring the best people, equipping the best people, and building a team where there's a lot of trust, I can see now that the success of our company was fine. But as soon as I started hiring more employees and delegating better, that's when we really blossomed. I've known Steve Ivy for a long time, and Chris Ivy is outstanding as well. So is that nepotism? I don't think so. I think Chris has really thrown himself into the sports and taken that group within Heritage to higher levels. Bill Huggins at Huggins and Scott. I know Ricky is there. Tops, a long time ago in the previous regime, there were brothers and there were son-in-law and different things like that. But again, in business, just like in sports, you have to produce. If you don't, again, the relationship might get you the job, but you've got to produce. So that's my message, and hopefully you'll find some value in that. And I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. So again, have a great day, and thanks for listening.